All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, Shipping Nation YouTube station? We are back with another edition of the NBA show. It's your boy Ham. It's Friday night, November 14th. I got my guy Hebrewcheetah with me today. We got about 50 members in here already listening. I see my guy from last night. I see Scooter McGavin taking home $10K in the NBA Showdown Streets. We got a nice little announcement for that after that. Thanks to our guy, BG Little Neck crushing it over here. He does the showdown content for us every night. And, hey, Scooter solo shipped that puppy last night to continue our hot streak on this NBA season. That's enough about me, though. Rio, I'll bring you in right away. What's going on, man? How's your week been? What's going on?
Week's been really good. It's been a very good week for all the members. Obviously, Scooter kind of, hit it in a big way last night was huge for everybody. It was a pretty crazy just way that it happened because he was in first by like a solid 4 or 5 points. And then after the slate ended, they started to take away stats from Jordan Goodwin. He was at like 36th and finished with like 30. I think they just kept taking away stats from him. So he was kind of sweating that out. We're all there waiting to see what happened. I don't think that they ended up getting that figured out until like midnight, but he ended up coming away with the shipper. So all very, very happy for him. But yeah, it's been a really, really good week for the members. I talked about it on Tuesday with Titletown. That, at this point of the season, starting to get a lot more actionable data, and we're starting to really see what matchups and areas of weaknesses that these defense have are actually true. And I think that's kind of our strength at Shipping Nation is kind of pinpointing those little weaknesses in defenses and spots to attack. So we'll definitely look to keep that going and finish strong this week with some NBA Cup action as well.
Yeah, NBA Cup. I think this is the third straight Friday night that we've done the NBA Cup. It's always cool to see that, see the different the court or whatever, and these games mean a little bit more. Before we go any further, let's say hello to a couple people in chat. I got my guy Little Neck in here, Nate D as always, Max Manning, Remo, Sean's in here, Evan, Minnesota Holla, Scooter's in here, of course, JT, Jason Turner, Big Ed, what's going on, Big Ed, Avery, Parabay, Ricky Rose, what's going on, Ricky? Sorry to hear about your cousin, man. That's tough to hear, but glad you came in to join us. Hopefully get your mind off that for a little bit. Talk some NBA, Ross K, DFS buddy. And William came in here. Brock Newsom, as always. Minnesota Holla. Hey, I went to Minnesota earlier this week. Went to the Vikings game. Vikings did not do well against the Ravens, but that stadium is incredible. Went to Runyon's, got me some wings. Went to, what was it, Red Cow, Red Fish, Red something up there, Minnesota Holla that you recommended. Got a burger, got some cheese curds. Enjoyed my time up there in Minnesota. It was a great time. Weather got cold. Now I'm back in 70-degree weather, but we got 9 NBA games today. We're going to be breaking down the first 8. No Wemby on this slate. Little rematch, little Wemby, Golden State action. That is not on the main slate, but we'll have you covered over there on the Showdown show. Jordan Newlands, what's going on, man? Lachlan's in here as well. But anything else, or do you want to get right into these 8 games, Rio?
No, let's get right into it. I really like the slate tonight.
Yeah, great slate tonight. The first game up, we got the Heat. Got a little Davion Mitchell talking some trash about Jalen Brunson being out. So no Jalen Brunson. He tweaked his ankle the other day. No Hero, no Bam, which you already know that. But we got the Heat going into New York. We should see a Miles McBride start at great prices. He's going to be super popular. Pretty high total, Rio, 240.5. Talk to me through this one. Miami Heat at the New York Knicks.
Yeah, I talk about it a lot with all these Miami slates that it's going to be a game environment that you're going to want to get into. They just play so fast, like well above everybody else in the league right now, and it's provided some really great game environments. And even with how good Miami's defense is or can be at times, like you're still getting some pretty strong fantasy scores. But then you add on top of that with no Brunson, it kind of makes it a clear spot for you to want to get into the Knicks. But I think that both the ways that these teams play defense could really highlight the offensive matchups for the opposing teams. The Heat continue to be a team that you want to attack with off-ball scoring. They're allowing the most catch-and-shoot field goal attempts per game and the 7 most threes per game. Knicks are putting up a ton of threes right now, so it's a really good spot for the three-point shooters and the off-ball scorers. And then for Miami, they're giving up. They're one of the one of the best transition offenses in the league. Giving up the Knicks give up a good amount of transition points per game, so it's kind of a clear spot to attack for them. The Miami side is kind of quick for me to break down because I don't really think that I want to get to too much. I would say that Norman Powell is probably in a pretty good spot here, even with Mikal Bridges going to be on him. I just think that the way that he's been driving and getting it done in transition, it makes it a pretty good spot for him. But these prices are up there. I guess you could make a case that Davion Mitchell is cheap enough to consider, but I'm not really too excited about these guys in particular. I just think that they'll bring a solid game environment. I don't think that you really need to go out of your way to play any of these Heat because there's some really, really strong mid-tier plays and value plays on the slate tonight. I don't know if I want to lock anything up on Miami early on, but I do like these Knicks a lot. I think the Cat is probably the best play in the 9K range tonight. He averaged just under 48 DraftKings points in 15 games without Brunson last season. Saw a really big usage rate increase, 5.2 points up to 33%. And this year has been the same with Brunson off the court, plus 4.7 points added to his usage numbers, and his fantasy points per minute jumped to 1.58. So from a role standpoint, he looks like the best option in 9K range. And then you add the pace of play and the game environment with Miami playing at the fastest pace. I think that there's a lot really working in Cat's direction tonight. And I really like to attack Khalil Ware. He can be good at times, but he can also really struggle against a player archetype like Cat. So I kind of think that it's a really smash play for Cat at 9.4K. So I like him a good bit. And then OG and Bridges, I think that we can probably expect them to take on bigger roles with Brunson. OG's been the guy that sees the biggest usage bump and fantasy point per minute bump with Brunson off the court this season. And he's been the more consistent of the two, so I slightly lean his way. But I think it's pretty hard to argue against Mikal Bridges, just the way that Miami gives up so much off-ball scoring. And I think with this being an NBA Cup game, you could see like 38 to 40 minutes from those guys. So like them both a good bit here. I do slightly prefer OG, though. And then we'll have to see what they do with the starting lineup. I think that McBride is probably the most obvious option, but I wouldn't be surprised if they bring in like Josh Hart, or maybe if they do something weird and go Tyler Kolek at 3K, he would definitely be in play. But I think as it stands right now with McBride, the projected starter, he's a pretty solid option at 4.8K, kind of for the same reasons that you would consider playing Mikal Bridges. He's not going to really see like a crazy increase in his touch time and ball handling stats, but I do see this being a plus matchup for him as a guy that can score off ball. He'll take a ton of catch and shoot 3-point attempts. So I do like McBride right now, but yeah, really, really like Cat tonight.
So the cover boy Cat sounds like your favorite. Cat, Bridges, and OG. I mean, how many Knicks in a tournament do you think is too many Knicks?
Haven't really thought through that much. I don't think that I want more than 2 of the Cat, OG, and Bridges, but I could see like if Kolek or McBride are starting, I don't think it's like too crazy to ask for 3 of these guys. Like add 1 of McBride and Kolek into that grouping of 2 guys to get there. But I think that 2 of the main 3 guys is probably enough, and then you could add in 1 more.
Yeah, and these ownerships can't be right. It says Mikal Bridges at 1%, and the other guys are at 30, 28, 13. I would assume that's going to come up a little bit. But, yeah, Knicks looking good. It looks like you got 4 options tonight, especially if McBride starts. Don't hate that. Excellent breakdown there on that game. We'll move on to the next game. We got the Nets, no Cam Thomas, MPJ. Anyone? Gets the Magic, Paolo. Birthday narrative. Hey, pulled his hamstring, groin, whatever it was the other night, came out early. No birthday narrative for my boy Paolo. He's going to miss tonight. That should get. We have Tristan Da Silva in the starting lineup for him, but man, these Nets are pretty bad. But any love for any Nets? Any love for any of these Magic, including Franz Wagner, who I'd assume would get a bump?
I didn't realize it was a groin strain for Paolo. He must have been having too much fun on his birthday. But yeah, these Nets, I don't really think I'm going to get to. It's a really good spot for the Orlando guys, like probably the best spot on the slate if you just add in the matchup stuff. So I'm really, really excited about these Orlando guys. But for Brooklyn, like, I don't know, 8K for MPJ, I get it. The role and usage and all that stuff has been pretty good. But Magic really take away the 3-point ball. So I think that there's really not a lot working in his favor. if I were to attack this Magic defense, it's with pick and roll heavy scorers, but the Nets just don't have anybody that does that. Like their two highest pick and roll point per game guys are Terrence Mann and Igor Demon. I don't really think that I'm looking to get to either of those guys in this big of a slate. So for Brooklyn, max 1, I probably get 0 tonight, and I'd be totally fine with that. But the Orlando side is really, really exciting for me. With Paulo out, that is going to vacate around 31% usage. Maybe I think it's a little bit less actually. At 28% and 19.5% assist rate is what Paulo leaves behind. So who that goes to, a lot of it's going to go to Franz. We've seen a pretty big sample size from last season with Paulo off the court. His usage jumps to 31.4%. Both the rebounding and assist numbers are in like the 15% range, 17% range. So I think he's kind of a sneaky bet if you're looking for a long shot for a triple-double. I think that he could get that in this matchup. But the things that really stand out for me for Franz is that like teams like Brooklyn, teams like Washington who are really bad in transition and really bad protecting the basket is where you want to play Franz. So this is all lines up really well for him. Brooklyn is, I think, bottom 2 in rim defense and dead last in transition defense. So there's a lot really, really working for Franz to hit in a big way here. I know that it's a pretty big spread, but it's a cup game, so they'll probably let him out there for 35, 36 minutes. I think he could really smash in those minutes. I love the upside for Franz. Bane is a little bit more tricky to break down because a lot of his minutes have overlapped with Paulo this season. He only has like 50 minutes with Paulo off the court. Obviously sees a really big jump in his assist rates, and then last game did see a big bump to his touch time. So we should expect him to see a pretty big role increase, but he is a little bit more pick and roll heavy. The Nets are taking away pick and roll the best in the league. Just that's going to be the way that they play defense always under this coach. But Bane has always been a really good transition scorer, so I think that he's totally fine. I don't think I want more than 2 of Franz, Bane, and Suggs, and that kind of puts me on Suggs. I think that he's got a really good matchup. I think that it's going to be MPJ on him, which is always a spot I want to attack. But he has really solid on-off numbers with Paulo off the court this season, 1.17 fantasy points per minute. I think he's going to be playing close to 30 minutes tonight. A team that could be very turnover prone, I think, is a plus for Suggs as well. So I think that he's probably right there, like neck and neck from just like a DFS play tonight with Bane. But Franz is clearly the one. But I don't think that I want more than 2 of those guys. And then I don't like the Anthony Black, Tristan Da Silva just are very unexciting plays for me tonight. I think there's going to be better value that opens up potentially, or just there might already be better plays that we don't really need to get to them. But I do think that it's a really good spot for the centers. So Wendell Carter Jr. and Goga Batadze at their respective price tags, I think, are both in play. Would not play them together. I think Wendell Carter Jr. could be a guy that, like in that 5K range for center, gets overlooked with a lot of ownership going to guys like Derek Queen and Andre Drummond. But I think that he does have a slate winning upside in his range of outcomes. So I like him. And then if you need to go down to like 3.6K for a center, Goga is a guy I would look to because he does have pretty strong per minute upside. And he probably plays 20 minutes tonight, maybe a little bit more in a blowout. So I think that this is a really, really good spot for Orlando.
Good spot for Orlando. You got to go Suggs versus McBride, 5,100 versus 4,800 at the point guard position. Where are you going there?
I do slightly lean Suggs, but I think with McBride having the shooting guard eligibility, it makes him a little bit better.
And are we not to go back to the Knicks, but are we only playing McBride if he's starting over Kolek?
No, I think you can play him regardless because he's going to see minutes, but it would be a lot. I'd have a lot more confidence in him seeing like close to 30 minutes tonight if he was starting.
Awesome. Excellent stuff there. No Nets. 7,800 for MPJ. It's kind of getting up there. So moving on to the next game. Interesting one to talk about. We got the 76ers. We know the deal with Embiid. No Embiid tonight. Got Andre Drummond, double-double the other night, which was big. And then you got the Pistons. A lot of question marks around the Pistons. Cade Cunningham coming off a sore shoulder from shooting 45 times the other night. He missed. Jalen Duren missed. We know Thompson is going to be out again tonight. Beef Stew missed. Talk me through this one, Rio. Bunch of injuries to talk to on the Pistons side. Who's in, who's out, and let's break it down.
Yeah, so this is one where a lot of value could potentially open up, and it does seem like Cade and Duren and Stewart are all kind of trending down. They had the same starting lineup as the last game in starters jersey at shoot around this morning. haven't really got enough clarity. Like normally we'd get a notification from Underdog that Cade and Duren were not participating at shoot around. So we'll have to kind of get creative and be ready for this. I think starting with those guys out is probably the way to do it, and then you can move some things around because they're a little expensive. So there'll be some options below them to get off of the Dennis Jenkins and Paul Reeds, but I think I'm going to be going right back to them again here if they are in, because it's a really good matchup. Jenkins had an insane role. He was essentially Cade Cunningham light. Like he had over 7 minutes of touch time, a ton of drives and potential assists. Like he literally filled in exactly the role that Cade had, but he's priced $5,000 cheaper than Cade tonight. So, and normally Cade is in like the 10K range. So he's probably like, if the role considered, he would probably be priced 8K to 9K if he was just playing 36 minutes a night instead of Cade. So 6.1K is actually a pretty good value for him. And then the same thing for Paul Reed. Like he's just a really strong permanent producer. He's probably good up to like 7K in the current role that he has. So very, very similar to Duren. Doesn't do the same things that Duren does, but from a fantasy point per minute standpoint, very good in that sense. So I think both those guys are going to be guys that I look to heavily because it is a good matchup with the Sixers. They've been struggling defensively, giving up a ton of points around the basket, and especially in transition, they've been getting killed there. But the Sixers side, I think, is also interesting. This could be a game that kind of goes overlooked a little bit from the Sixers side, and there are some kind of big injury news that we're waiting on, the VJ Edgecombe stuff. It's not like you're taking away a crazy high usage guy, but that's a guy that's playing mid-30s minutes that has to go somewhere. I think a lot of that will go to Quentin Grimes and then a little bit more for Kelly Oubre as well. And those guys are pretty solid point per dollar plays at 6.4K and 6.2K, assuming they're playing like 36 to 38 minutes. But Tyrese Maxey is the guy that I'm looking to again. I know that he didn't get there last time out, was actually pretty solid from a per minute standpoint, only played 34 minutes, put up 44 DK points, so pretty solid there, was 1 assist shy of the double-double. It was just kind of random that he didn't play. He had played like 12 first half minutes and then saw a bunch in the second half. But I think in any normal game, we're probably getting 38 to 40 from him. I'm going to be projecting for 40 minutes. I think with this being an NBA Cup game, they probably take it a little bit more serious. That was not a word. I don't know how that came out.
Yeah, seriouser. I was thinking about that one there for a minute.
I'm glad I caught myself. But yeah, it's a really good spot with Asar Thompson out. The pick and roll defense for the Pistons has been getting a lot worse, and just the overall on ball defense is a lot worse with Asar out. So I think that it's going to be a pretty good spot for Tyrese Maxey here. So I really like him as a spend up, as a low owned option. I'll definitely be going right back to him. And then Grimes and Oubre and Drummond, I think, are all pretty solid values, assuming VJ Edgecombe is out. I think Drummond is kind of fine regardless. He might be getting a little over-owned because I think there are some very strong center spots tonight to attack. But 18% is about right. I don't know what we have him at. I have to check on SaberSim, but I think that he might be getting a little bit over-owned considering the strength of the position.
Yeah, I saw some major tilt the other night with Tyrese Maxey. What did you say? 12 minutes in the first half, and people.
I'll look it up. It was like weirdly low.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but they were tilting out. So, Paul Reed, nothing spells NBA Cup like a good old revenge game narrative. I know the chat will be all over that one, but Paul Reed, we only want him if Duren and Stewart are out, or one of them out. What are we thinking on Reed? I mean, he got bumped all the way up to $5,800.
No, I would play him. Yeah, I think he's good. Like I think you continue to play him, assuming that Duren is out. I think that he's really good. I actually like the matchup against Drummond. I don't think that he's a very good defender. I was gonna say anymore, but I don't know if he really ever was. I think he was just a really good rebounder.
Yeah. All right. That'll do it for that game. Yeah, obviously a lot of injury news to pay attention to. Before we head to the next one, make sure you're hitting that like. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe. Once again, we got a reminder. We're giving a $100 free ticket away in our Discord after this, courtesy of our guy, Scooter McGavin, coming off his 10K win last night in the Showdown Streets with the help of our guy, BG Littleneck, who handles all that. So make sure, if you are a member, head on over to the Discord. We're giving away a free $100 single entry ticket tonight. Make sure you want to get in on that. That'll bring us to our next game, Rio. We got the Jailblazers taking on the Rockets. Should be a good game. Should be up and down. This Trailblazers team, they're playing. They're fun to watch, fun to play. Got the Holiday boys playing this one. Only one of them's going to be playing though. But talk to me a little bit about this one. Trailblazers at the Rockets. As far as injuries go, I don't see any major injuries on either side. Maybe I'm missing something. I know Scoot's out, but talk to me about this game, Portland at Houston.
Yeah, before I do, I did just look at the rotation for Maxey last game. It was 17 minutes in each half, which is normally like 19 to 20. So a little bit less than what we're used to seeing from him, but still a good amount of minutes. But I think that 40 is probably closer to where he lands tonight. Yeah, this is a really, really exciting game, I think. Just two really good teams kind of all over the place. Like the Rockets are first in offensive rating this season. They're also top 6, I believe, in defense, something like that. But the Blazers are up there in defense. This game should play up to the pace. The Blazers like to play fast. Houston is the third slowest team in the league, but we see teams that play up in pace kind of dictate the speed of the game. So I think that, with this game being pretty high scoring, it's a game that is really good to get into. There are some pretty solid price tags on the Rocket side. I think Sengun, Durant, and Amen are all pretty good at their prices. But I kind of think that Amen's in the best spot here. I like Amen over KD mainly because I think that Amen does have 55 to 60 points in his bag. I'm not really sure KD does with the role that he has with Houston. He was kind of on his way to a pretty big game last time out, but then tapered off. A lot of that was due to them just not really needing him towards the end of the game because they were up by like 15 plus the whole game. So could have been like a 45-point game from KD, but I just don't know if we're getting the slate winning ceiling that we need from Durant in this role. I definitely know that we have that within the range of outcomes with Sengun and Thompson, so those are going to be my two preferred options. Sengun's been pretty close to some pretty big games all season pretty much. I mean, he's kind of flirting with a triple-double in nearly every game, so some of those potential assists can convert into actual assists. He could really hit in a big way. But I do think Amen is my favorite option here, just against a team that plays pretty fast, against a team that gives up some points in transition and is kind of below average in pick and roll and around the basket. I think that both those kind of work in his favor. And then Jabari and Tari, I wouldn't play those guys together, but I think they are viable options at their price tags. Jabari kind of needs efficient rebounding to get there because he's not going to take a ton of shots, taking like mid-teens over the last few games and making them. But I don't know. He's just not really like a very exciting play for me. But Reed Shepherd is another guy that fits into builds really nicely. And I see myself needing a cheap shooting guard, which is why I'll get to a good amount of McBride and Reed Shepherd just the way I want to play. I see myself needing to spend up at other positions, and Reed is kind of fitting those builds. But he's had really strong outings the last 3 games and really fitting into his role nicely in Houston. Been getting talked up a ton by Amen Thompson, basically telling him that he needs to stop passing up open looks and he needs to shoot it more. So, I think that with the pace of play and all that considered, he's a pretty solid option on any slate. But 4.2K, I mean, the price is going down, but the fantasy production continues to go up. So I think that he's a really strong option. But like this Houston side a ton. Portland is a little bit tougher because these prices are pretty efficient. I do think that it's a decent spot for Denny. I think that it might be Amen on him, but they might throw Amen on Shaedon Sharpe. I'm not really too sure, but the Rockets do give up the sixth most transition points per game. Denny is 5th in the NBA in transition scoring. I think if it's Jabari Smith on him, I kind of like that matchup, but he's definitely a guy that has a ton of upside at his price tag. Definitely the most on his team. It is a high price tag pay for him, but he's definitely earned it. Had some pretty solid games. 60 DK points is for sure within the range of outcomes. I don't really love the spot for Drew. I just think that he's mainly too expensive. He's playing a lot of minutes right now and shown pretty strong permanent numbers, 1.2 fantasy points per minute per game this season. I don't know. This is just kind of like a ceiling price tag for him, I think. I think if I'm looking elsewhere outside of Denny, I wouldn't mind going to Shaedon Sharpe. He's not going to project great, but he's really shooting the ball well over the last 2 games and kind of becoming the guy that they thought that they would get when they signed him to the contract. But he's put up 36 shots in his last 2 games and has gone 25 for 36 from the field. So really efficient shooting, 30 plus real points in back-to-back games. Doesn't really do a lot of the peripheral stats, but if he does and you get that 30-point outing, he does have really, really high upside at 6.5K. And then Tumani Kamara and Grant, I think, are also like last man in types of plays. Tumani should play a lot of minutes. They'll need him for defense. And then Grant kind of has a decent matchup with Portland giving up some, or with Houston giving up a good amount of threes per game. Kind of works in his favor, but I think he's probably better just play some bets on him on his overs than to play him in DFS.
Yeah, excellent stuff there. Great breakdown. Yeah, Reed Shepard. I saw that. I saw that too with Amen talking him up. Hey, Reed, number 3 overall pick. You got to earn your keep and then and do your thing. And I saw some some chatter in there as well as a shot dependent, but he did pretty good in the peripherals the other night. Moving on to the next game. This one's going to be exciting for DFS purposes. We have a 239.5 point total. We got LaMelo, who looks to be trending towards playing. We got my boy Khan, who's been balling, shooting a bunch of threes, taking on the Bucks. The only real injury news here, KPJ, he is out. And then Giannis is questionable or probable with a bruised chin after taking Sengun's nuts to the face last game. So big ups to Giannis to hopefully he gets back. Hopefully he's doing well in those that bruised chin. But talk to me about this game, Charlotte at Milwaukee.
I just got to say, a week ago today, Giannis was on the slate, and you asked what he needed to be optimal. Got 80 DK points and was definitely optimal. I need Newens to talk some shit now in chat after.
Oh, Newens ate well, and my boy Giddey, my guy Giddey, he outdid Giddey for sure.
Yeah. With LaMelo returning, it kind of takes off the allure of playing guys like Bridges and Khan and Sexton. I think that Khan is probably overpriced now for life with LaMelo. I think that in the low 6Ks, he's probably fine just because he's such a good overall player and he can get it done in multiple ways. But LaMelo is he takes away so much of the usage and assist numbers and even some rebounding as well that makes it tougher for these guys to hit value. So I don't think that I'm going to have much of those guys in my player pool, but I'll definitely get some Diabate and Plumlee tonight. It is a really good matchup for both these centers. I think I just don't Miles Turner just doesn't excite me as a defender. He's not he's an okay shot blocker, but never been a great rim protector. I know those things kind of are correlated, but you look back to the years with the Pacers, they were always a team that gave up a ton around the basket. And the Bucks are one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. They're bottom 2 in rebounding behind the nets, which is not in company that you want to be with. So I think Diabate and Plumlee both, with their price considered, are really, really strong options. The only thing that I will caution against both those guys is that center is really strong tonight. There's a lot of mid-tier plays in the center range that I like over them, and I think that if Diabate is really going to be 35 to 40% owned, I'm okay getting away from that because I don't know if he really has the slate breaking upside that we need. The way that he hits though is those other centers that I am projecting pretty highly don't do well, and Diabate puts up 28 to 30, which would pay off his price tag. But I do think that there's some 45, 50 DK point games from some other centers on the slate, but I'll definitely play him on teams that I need a 4.2K center because he fits it really well. And then Plumlee, if he's playing that backup center role for what Diabate was playing behind Cockbrenner with him out, then he's also a value play at 3K that I would look to get to because he hasn't really played a lot of NBA action this year, returning from an injury, and was in the G League helping LaMelo return to play. But we know what Plumlee is. He's a professional center, so he's fine, and 3K doesn't really matter at that position. You only need a couple rebounds and points to really hit value, so he'd be fine. But I'm not, like I said, I like the center spot a lot tonight, so finding ways to get away from them if I can. And then all the things point to Giannis smashing in this spot, coming off of 4 days rest, NBA Cup game. He's going to want to play a ton against a struggling Hornets interior defense with now no Cockbrenner. So I think if the Hornets can keep the game close, we might get full run from Giannis. But I think either way, he's a smash play tonight. Spend up option looks really good. Got to compete with Cat from a point per dollar standpoint, but I think that he clearly has probably the second highest, if not the highest upside on the entire slate. So he's really, really strong tonight. And then Ryan Rollins, I still think is in play. He's just playing really well right now. It's a good matchup. He just put up 25, 5, and 6 for 43.25 DK points against the same Hornets team. So definitely an option to consider.
Yeah, my guy Newens giving it to me in the chat, and rightfully so. Hey, come back in 4 years. It'll be the next time Giannis is on the winner. We going for an 80 piece tonight, Rio, with Giannis, or where you got Giannis? Is he the best spend up on the slate?
It's between him and Luka. I don't know because the spread's kind of. He's definitely. I don't really have a strong lean right now. I think both those guys are really strong, but I do think Giannis probably has a better chance of hitting that ceiling. I just think that Luka's might be a little bit higher. I actually don't. I don't really have a strong lean. They're both really good.
Yeah, projected for 57. He's going to look very nice tonight. Appreciate you breaking that one all down. If you are joining us for the first time today, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton over here. Hey, we're also giving away a $100 single entry. Thanks to my guy, Scooter McGavin, after the show in our Discord. But we got another game to talk about. We got the Sacramento Kings going into Minnesota, taking on this Ant Edwards-led Timberwolves team in Rio. I don't know if you saw my guy, Doug Christie giving it to his boys over there, saying that he was embarrassed, trying to talk him up. They've been putrid this year. Mr. Triple-Double, Russell Westbrook, been balling, but they can't win a game. What'd you think about that? What do you think about this game, Kings at the T-Wolves?
I mean, I'm surprised it took him this long to say something about this team. It's just such a poorly constructed roster. I talked about it beginning of the season. Like, you just have so many guys that just don't mesh well together. I mean, you have a team that just wants to take a ton of mid-range jumpers, which are just statistically, like, all the advanced analytics show that you just should not be taking those shots, and they just continue to do it. So it just doesn't make sense, the team that they put together. They're going to end up blowing it up pretty soon. I think that Levine and DeMar and potentially even Sabonis should be on the move here shortly, and then it'll just be a lost season for Sacramento because it's just a very poorly constructed team. But, I mean, I like it. I think that coaches need to speak out a little bit more when your team's playing that bad. So I like it. Appreciate that, Little Neck. Likewise. But yeah, in terms of DFS for this game, I think Sacramento is the next out. I can't play a team like this where the minutes could really bottom out in a huge way if things go poorly. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they do something weird and like bench DeMar or Levine or something like that. But I guess like some value potentially could open up if Domantas Sabonis, who's questionable, gets ruled out. I just don't really know if there's enough. Like, there's better. Like, I'm not looking to get to any of these like Eubanks or Raynaud. I don't even know who that is. Like, I just don't think you need to go to Sacramento tonight personally. But I do think Minnesota you should very, very heavily look into. And Anthony Edwards leads the way. I mean, he's on a tear right now. He's had 3 really good matchups, one of them coming against the same Kings defense. He put up 26 points in just 30 minutes. He's just been killing these great matchups. The Kings give a ton of threes. The teams are shooting 71% at the rim against them, so you can get to the basket at ease and probably not going to be contested much. They're giving up a ton of threes, a lot of catch-shoot buckets. They're also bottom 4 in pick and roll and transition defense, so it's a really, really a big spot for Ant. I think that he's got 40-plus in his bag tonight, assuming the Kings can hang around for 3.5 quarters. But he might even get that done in 3 quarters. Like, I think it's just a really, really good spot for Ant. 8.9K is I think it's like a bargain price tag for him because he's got a ton of upside here. The only thing that worries me is that the Kings don't keep it close and we don't get like any fourth quarter run from Ant. But I really like him tonight. Randall, same thing. I think that he's in a great spot. He did not have a great game against them last time out, but he's going to see some pretty weak defenders, whether that's Nick Clifford or Precious Achiuwa or whoever else they put out there, DeMar, maybe at power forward. I think that he should be able to bounce back in a pretty big way against them. And yeah, Rudy Gobert is one of the guys that I really like as a pivot center in that 6K, 5K range. There's been some good quotes about Finch wanting to get him going early in games, and he did just that against the Kings last time out. Went for 19 points, 12 rebounds, double-double, 48.5 DK points. The Kings are giving up a ton of fantasy points to centers right now. They are bottom 3 in fantasy points allowed to opposing centers this season, giving up a ton of points and rebounds and even some assists to the position. So I think that Gobert has a lot of sneaky good upside here. So I'm going to be playing heavily into that. I like him a lot as a pivot off of like Drummond, and then kind of gets me off of the chalkier Diabate type plays. But yeah, I love him tonight. And then I think Dante DiVincenzo and Jaden McDaniels are in play here. I do slightly prefer Jaden just because it could be one of those games where he gets a lot of easy buckets in transition. He's got career highs in pretty much every stat this season. He's really playing really well right now. So I do like Jaden McDaniels a good bit. And you should probably keep Naz Reid in the player pool as well, because if Randall is limited at all, just like Naz kind of plays well in the minutes that he's out there, or same thing with Rudy. Like if he just outperforms them, I think that he could put up a really big game in limited minutes.
Yeah, excellent stuff there. A lot of talk. What did you? I know you mentioned my boy Nick Clifford, but would you play Nick Clifford, or is he not a good play tonight?
Not really. I mean, I don't know. I guess if he's starting, you can consider him. He played 31 minutes last game. It seems like just like a low point per minute guy. I probably wouldn't, but I'm not going to talk somebody off of somebody that's 4.3K with good eligibility that's starting.
Nothing gets the chat more fired up when I say Wolves, T-Wolves, or Timberwolves. Probably the Timberwolves, probably the appropriate thing to say there. Excellent breakdown there. We got 2 games left on the slate to talk about. We got Luka. We got the Lakers, Austin Reeves, headed into NOLA to take on the Zionless Pelicans. I heard you mention Derek Queen earlier in the show, but talk to me about this game. Lakers, pretty big favorites, pretty heavy favorites in this one. A pretty low total, 227, but Lakers at New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great spot for the Lakers. I wouldn't set a rule for this per se, but I do think that you're going to want to strongly consider playing one of Luka or Reeves tonight. It's just a really good spot against a team that allows the second most pick and roll points per game. Luka is first in pick and roll scoring, and Reeves is right behind him at 4th this season. So one of those guys, I think, puts up a really big score. Pelicans obviously have a really bad interior defense as well, but they're also bottom 6 in 3-point defense, giving up a good amount of transition points as well. So there's really a lot to like about the Lakers side here. Definitely not playing – you're playing max 1 of Luka or Reeves, but I do think that one of those guys hits in a pretty big way. I would say like the downside for Luka is that he's 12K first and foremost, but second of all, he will see the only good defender on the Pelicans in Herb Jones. There hasn't really been a lot of like history between the two when like or in years past, but I mean teams are still getting it done against the Pelicans. So I'm not really too worried about the matchup. Luka coming off of a string of pretty bad outings, I think he gets going in a pretty big way here. But if it's not him, then Reeves with the point guard, shooting guard eligibility makes a ton of sense because he should see. I think they might put fears on him to start. A rookie against Austin Reeves, I think, is a really good spot to attack. I like him a ton. Yeah, I think I slightly prefer Reeves to Luka just from like a points per dollar perspective because he's 4K cheaper with a very similar role, and he has shown that playing alongside Luka doesn't really hurt his upside. Obviously, from like a fantasy point per minute standpoint, his numbers do get a little bit worse, but they'll stagger them enough where Reeves can have the ball in his hands a lot in the non-Luka minutes. So I do think that Reeves really good option tonight. Then Ayton is another guy at center that I'm considering. I know it's really gross, and there's a lot of negative things you could say about DeAndre Ayton, but I mean, this is a really good spot for him to bounce back. I think the Pelicans allowing the 5th most fantasy points to opposing centers, 2nd most rebounds per game to the center position as well. So I think that at the very least, we're probably getting a double-double out of him. And I think that just with the way that the Lakers run pick and roll and the pick and pop stuff, it could be a really, really good spot to attack this Pelicans team with DeAndre Ayton and one of the guards. So I like him a lot. And that's probably it for the Lakers. I think those 3 make the most sense. Pelican side, these guys project decently. I'm never really looking to play Trey Murphy at 7.7K just with the current iteration of this team. I mean, he's going to get a ton of usage and a ton of minutes and a ton of shots. And I guess it's a decent matchup. I think they'll have Rui on him. The range of outcomes is a little too wide, though, because he can really disappear at times. So I'm okay getting away from him at 7.7K. I do think that if you play him, you probably want to play into the game being close, and maybe pairing him up with one of those guys in the Lakers that I mentioned makes some sense. I don't really like him just like a pure one-off play. That's kind of how I think I'm going to be approaching it, just thinking through things. I don't really like Herb Jones. Don't think we have any upside there. But Derek Queen, I really, really like him. He's playing really well right now. I just don't really get why they're not starting him right now. You traded up for him in the draft last season. You're going to lose your pick, so you might as well play your best players. And he's clearly better than Missy and Kevon Looney. Like, he needs to be playing 30-plus minutes a night. He's got a really strong role in the minutes he's on the court, 23.5% usage rate, 16% assist rate, 15% rebounding rate. So really good numbers. Like, they're running the offense through him a lot in like a Jokic, Sabonis, Sengun type of role where you know a lot of these dribble handoff stuff. So he's got a lot of opportunity to put up a pretty solid game with the peripheral stats. And obviously DeAndre Ayton is not a great defender. So I think that it's a really, really good spot for Derek Queen. Him being power forward eligible is the main thing that I really love, though, because I don't want to – I would probably consider him at center, but I think playing him at power forward with 2 other of those centers that I mentioned is a spot I want to go tonight. So I really like Derek Queen in this spot. Just moving forward, I think they're going to start to play him a little bit more. 4.9K is a really good price tag for him. And then Jeremiah Fears, a guy that's always kind of getting some attention. If things go normally for him, he's probably playing 30-plus minutes. But they might want to look to Jose Alvarado here for the matchup against these guards. I think that they would probably rather have Alvarado on Austin Reeves. So I would probably be playing a little bit less Fears, like a little bit less minutes for Fears and a little bit more for Alvarado. And Alvarado, we know, can get it done in 20 to 25 minutes at 3.9K. He does make some sense as a value play. And then last guy I'll mention, Sadiq Bey, playing a lot of minutes, just like a 3-and-D rebound type of guy, but okay spot for Lakers giving up a decent amount of catch and shoot stuff. So I don't mind him as an option at 4.8K.
The babyface killer, Derek Queen, like him, DQ. Oh, man, I would go for a blizzard right now in a New York minute, Rio. I don't know what you know about those blizzards, but they're delicious. Moving on.
We got DQ out here.
You got DQ? Okay, I started to sleep on out there in L.A. DQ. Give me that Oreo blizzard and throw some peanut butter in there. It's curtains for your boy Ham over here.
I saw something funny on Twitter the other night. We have a king, a queen, an ace, and a joker all in the NBA right now. It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Didn't know that. Good to know. Love DQ over there, though, tonight. Last game on the slate, I believe. Yeah, last game. Now, we're going to talk about is this Clippers team. Rio, I know you're not a Clippers fan, I don't think, but, man, this team's pretty bad, I think. No Kawhi tonight, taking on another bad team. No Nico Harrison tonight, but the Mavericks, gosh, they're putrid. Brandon Williams getting the start. Looks like Cooper Flag. Hit a free throw, young man. Big news here, Anthony Davis and P.J. Washington, both questionable. Anthony Davis, don't breathe on him or he might break, but $9,800. What are you doing this game? Clippers at Dallas.
Oh, you gotta give him the backstory to the Flag and Booker props.
So me and Rio had a little action the other night on Booker at 11.5 rebounds and assists, and my boy Cooper Flag at 17.5 points. He ended on 15 with 3 missed free throws, a missed dunk, a wide open 3 miss, and another 3-point miss. It was heartbreak hotel for me and your boy Rio. But hey, Cooper Flag, we'll see better days. I know he got one on Giannis the other day, so I like him already for that. But, man, that's the backstory. Talk to me about this game. What's your take on the Clippers? Like, they're pretty bad, right?
They're terrible, yeah. I mean, one of the most disappointing teams in the league. Yeah, it's just kind of funny the way that the league's going now. You have a lot of these teams that are trying to get older with these guys and recreate. Yeah. He likes Deuce McBride tonight.
No. Like, I think he was playing off your Joker, Ace.
Oh, yeah. Deuce and Trey. Yeah. The Clippers. So these teams that are getting old and trying to like recreate these super teams, it's just not working. Like we've seen it time and time again with the Clippers when they tried to get the Paul George, James Harden, Kawhi thing working, just didn't work. And now they added Bradley Beal and Chris Paul. Like they're not getting better. And there's some other teams in the league that I can't really think of that have done the same thing. Who else is out there that kind of got like Sacramento's another team like that? You don't really have a lot of these exciting young guys. It's a lot of guys that are in their 8th and 9th season that just don't really mesh well. So it's just kind of an interesting dynamic with the league, the way that it's going. A lot of these young teams are really good. Yeah, Brook Lopez too, another guy they added.
Brolo, my boy Brolo can't move.
Dude, he's got a. I think it's time for him to hang it up. He don't got it anymore. But yeah, this team, like both these teams, are really, really disappointing this season. But that's not to say that we can't get some fantasy goodness out of this game because it is a really good matchup for the Clippers offensively. The Dallas is playing pretty fast, so they could be another team that really speeds up the pace of the game, giving up a ton of points at the basket. They will be getting Derek Lively back to kind of shore up a little bit of the rim protection. But even then, with him out there, they weren't that great defensively. It's really just the on-ball defense that has been terrible for them. So it's a pretty exciting spot to consider for James Harden. He's shown that he still has the upside that you need to win tournaments. Had a triple-double against Atlanta in 39 minutes. He's probably going to be playing 39 minutes in any game that they need to win, that they need him to win because they just can't get done with him off the court. He's going to be guarded by Max Christie, so already like that matchup there. Mavericks giving up the 6th most pick-and-roll points per game. So, yeah, I think that Harden makes a lot of sense as a spend-up option tonight. 9.6K is a little uncomfortable. I think he's probably like more so worth at like 8.8K to 9K, but I do think that there is still some upside for him there. Same thing for Zubac. His defense has not been great this season, but still getting it done offensively. It's an elite matchup for the way that the Mavs get killed around the basket. And I think that he could get some really clean looks if the Mavs do everything they can to try to slow Harden down. Dallas bottom 4 DVP versus centers this season. So another guy that I want to get exposure to at the center position. And then John Collins, he's only started twice for the Clippers, but they'll try to get him going. I think that he is a guy that does have some upside that we have not seen yet on the Clippers. We saw him have a really, really strong season for Utah last season, like one of his best seasons in his NBA career. So we know that the talent is still there, and I think 5.4K is a really good price tag for him. Outside of that, I think that's it for me. I think those 3 guys are the only ones I really want to get exposure to. And then for Dallas, I think it's just Flag and Brandon Williams. Flag's starting to – I mean, he's talked about his body getting beat up, and that was the first thing that I noticed when he checked back into the game at the 6-minute mark last time out. He was just like very low energy and wasn't being assertive like he was in the first 3 quarters. So it could be, the NBA game just kind of wearing on him a little bit. With that being said, he has started to play a lot better, and I think he's starting to figure out the NBA game a lot more. And I do think that not having him run the point helps him in a sneaky big way. Like, he's not asked to do as much with the ball in his hands. But Brandon Williams has been run the point really well. He was really aggressive last time out, looking for his open man and also getting to the basket at will. Just the way that the Clippers aren't playing that well on defense, I think, is a pretty solid spot for Brandon Williams. But he's not towards the top of my list in terms of point guards tonight. I think that he probably would check in, I don't know, 5th or 6th, something like that, 6th or 7th. I don't know. I definitely prefer him to Fears if you're in that same range. He's a little bit more expensive, but I do like him more than Fears because he does have more upside, I believe. But that's about it for Dallas. I don't really want to want to try to make Klay Thompson happen at 4.2K. I get it. He played better last time out. Maybe he plays a little more with PJ and Anthony Davis likely out for this game. But I just think you're kind of asking for a little bit too much from these guys. So it's really just Flag and Williams for me, and then those 3 I mentioned on the Clippers side.
Excellent breakdown there. That'll do it. That's all 8 games. We had a request. Do you have like a quick snippet on any Warriors or Spurs, or did you not dive into that game because mainly your stuff's on DK?
I could look at it real quick, just looking purely at the salary. I think Wemby, fine option again. Probably a little too expensive for Castle on this slate. I think don't mind going back to Curry. I think they're going to probably run the similar game plan. Obviously has upside. I don't know where he would rank in terms of point guards because it is strong all around tonight, and he is not super cheap. But yeah, I don't know. You're always playing Wemby on FanDuel. I think just with the stocks upside makes him always probably the top spend on any slate. So I think that I probably just look to him and probably just Steph and Jimmy on FanDuel. Oh, I guess Moses Moody and Will Richard, because they're going to be starting moving forward. I guess you could consider them if you need that type of value. I just don't really know how they rank against the other value plays on the slate.
Yeah. What about Brandon Williams versus Suggs? 5,400 for Williams, 5,100 for Suggs.
Suggs for me.
Suggs for you. All right. My favorite part of the show. Give me a guy. Oh, 6K is probably too easy. Let's go 5,600 and below. Give me a guy tonight. Low owned, sub 5,600 guy on DK.
What's the ownership threshold? Got to be.
Let's go 25%.
25% below.
Yep.
You said 5,500 and below?
That's fine. 56, but yeah, 55 will work.
56 is good. Then I think I don't know. I think Wendell Carter Jr. is pretty good at 5,600. I really like picking on the Nets with opposing centers. They've just been giving up a ton of rebounds and a ton of fantasy points to position. So I do think that he is in that range of centers that I really want to pivot to. Yes, I think Wendell Carter Jr. I like him.
Wendell Carter Jr. All right, then non-Luka, non-Giannis, who's the top player when it's all said and done tonight?
Oh, that's easy. It's Cat for sure. Yeah.
Cat it is. The cover boy, $9,400. In for a great night.
Cat or Ant. I like those 2 guys the most in that range.
Cat or Ant, $9,400. That'll do it.
I would have said Queen, but he was over 30%, so didn't.
All right, yeah, there we go. Scooter, my guy Scooter is going to run it back tonight. Hey, if you are a member over at the Nation, head on over in the Discord. We're going to give away $100 single entry play tonight, courtesy of our boy Scooter McGavin, who coming off a 10K win. If you aren't a member at the Nation, head on over. We'd love to have you. I got my guy Rio in the NBA streets and NFL streets all weekend. We got some great shows coming up this week. For my guy Rio, I'm Ham. We'll see you next time. Let's ship it.